Hello there guys, and welcome back again here to my YouTube channel. And for today's video, I'll be sharing you the ultimate broken build-up mechanic for PVE and MVP team rewards. This build is one of the most powerful setup for mechanic class. It's a hybrid build that excels in both PvE and PvP scenario, with a primary focus on defensive capabilities when it comes to PvP, and when it comes to PvE, this build is one of the most challenging to out DPS. The FAW inherits 100% of your stats, and when it comes to the heating jet, your damage is further elevated each time you acquire a heat charge. This aspect adds to the overpowered nature of this build. I hope that I already gave you a good insight about this build, but before we move on to the video, I just want to give you a heads up that we are still providing pilot services. If you are interested, you can message me on my Discord channel. Link is on the description below, and also hit the subscribe button so you can be updated on my latest upload. So without further ado, let's get started. First on our list is grinding. To be effective in your grinding, you can use the FAW turret build with rolling cutter as your main DPS. With this build, you can maximize the large area where you can easily gain high experience point. Before we go deeper into the guide, I advise watching my previous video first. This will help you better understand how to effectively utilize this build. I'll include the full heating jet build and the FAW in the description for a more comprehensive guide. And as you can see on the video, the FAW combined with rolling cutter, you're like a one-man party in the grinding spot. And now, let's move on to the skill point allocation for grinding. This is pretty basic because you'll just copy the previous build of AAA Assault with rolling cutter and then add the FAW. You can simply replicate this build. For stats allocation, since you'll be using FAW, you'll also need lock to enable critical hits for the turrets, then maximize strength for increase of attack power, and maximize agility to reduce the cooldown of the heating jet. Okay, so we're done with grinding. Now let's shift our focus to PVE and MVP. In this build, our primary goal is to maximize overheating, similar to what you saw in my first video, where my attack increased from 10,000 to 21,000. Additionally, we aim to deploy 3 turrets and consistently spam the heat engine and overheating. Since we get 100% of our stats for each FAW, we can maximize the damage output. And for those wondering if the FAW dies quickly, the answer is both yes and no, because it depends on your stats. If you get one hit by an MVP, then your FAW will also be one hit. And one more thing to remember is that you can also use converter, but once you overheat, each of your attack will be considered as fire, and when the charge is removed, you'll have increased damage again from the converter. This build is excellent, especially when the MVP TGK or Taugungka comes out. For sure, you'll always be the top DPS even when competing with high spender players of other classes. And I just want to answer the question of Zach Calibir, and thank you for this question and shout out to you. His first question: can turrets inherit elemental converter? The answer is no. I tried it, but it doesn't work. Second, does it require 500 ASPD? The answer is no, because 3 turrets attack at the same time, so it's still the same. Third, can turrets proc meltdown? The answer is yes. I tested it and it works. Next question is from Sander Agdipa 6904. Can turrets be removed by land protection? The answer is that it can be removed. So what you need is good positioning to avoid it being easily covered by land protection. Next, for gears and equipment, you need two weapons for this build. First is the Doppel Axe or Octopus Axe because you can maximize the damage of Octopus Ink. When you're not hitting, it will still proc because of the lava. I don't recommend using the Flame Battle Axe even though your attack can crit because you need a critical rate of 300 to achieve a 100% critical chance, which is quite challenging to achieve as a mechanic. So Octopus Axe is still my preferred choice. For the second weapon, use the Power Cutting Axe for grinding purposes only. For cards, you can rely on or watch my first video about Heating Jet to learn more. For cores, you can use Magnetic Field to slow your target, Earth Resonance for Heating Jet, and Intense Heat to boost your damage when overheating. Other cores that you can use is Core Overload, Mana Length Reversal, and Bloodthirst. For skill point allocation, the most important skill in this build, especially if you're going to use it in PvP, is hovering because it can stun the enemy and remove any status effect. Next is Magnetic Field to slow the target. But to be honest, I don't really recommend using this build in PvP because it's more powerful. In PvE, you always have to remember that you won't always have the chance to deploy your FAW turrets, and your opponents will always take the opportunity to eliminate you. It's effective in PvP if you're the type of player who doesn't constantly dive and lean more towards a defensive playstyle. For Sigils, there's nothing new, same as the previous build. The best build is Starfall, Meteor Impale, Ancient Power, and Berserk are still the best to use. For PvP naman, go on Defensive Sigil, it remains the same. And again guys, thank you for watching my video. If this video was helpful for you, make sure to click the subscribe button to get more updates on my Ragnarok origin video. And a special shout out to Boss Steve for letting me use his character. And again boss, thank you, maraming salamat, and see you on my next video.